Hi there, Sandra here. I have waited to do this video because I have had my Siser Juliet now for 2-3 weeks and I've had a chance to use it. I decided not to do the traditional unboxing because what was the point? Everyone else was doing that. And I figured I want to get to know this machine. I want to work out what it can do before I start to make a video on the machine itself. Every machine is different. And if you're looking at buying another machine, you're looking at buying a Juliet, then this should help you out a bit. Right, the first difference is in mats. Now, at first glance, there's nothing much different about a mat. The difference is, with a Juliet, you can use whatever mat you like, okay? You could use a Cricut mat, you can use a Siser. Every time I see the name, I want to say Siser, not Caesar. You can use a Siser mat, you can use Cricut mat, you could use silhouette mat, you can use a 99cents IKEA table mat. Up to you. If you use something like a table mat, all you have to do is apply a two-way adhesive to it. So you want something either like a Zig two-way pen, or you want Eileen's tack it over and over, dilute it a little bit, put on the mat, and avoid the edges, obviously. But other than that, you can use what you like. And you can rotate your mat for use, whichever way you so wish. Okay, you're not stuck to one way. The mat that comes with the Juliet is super sticky. It's the high-tack mat. I've had this one, as I said, for 2-3 weeks. I have not washed it yet, and it is still sticky enough to hold my materials. It was so sticky when I got it that it was a case of peel things off. But it's just about right at the moment, so I'm happy with that. So you have your material on your mat. You can put it there. You can put it there. It's up to you where you put it. What you do need to do is set an origin point. And for the Juliet, all you do to do this is you press a button, well, 2 buttons on your machine, and you maneuver the blade holder to the bottom left corner. You press nothing after that. That is your origin set. That is where the machine is going to say, right, okay, this is the beginning of my cut. This is where I'm going to go. How difficult is that? And the answer is, it isn't. Blade holders. Press this button here and the blade can be pulled out. Just pop it in there and it's got a magnet at the end and it goes into place. To wind your blade out, you release the gold ring, that untightens it, and you turn the other ring and your blade comes out. You do not want that amount of blade showing unless you're cutting something very thick. What you want is to wind your blade almost all of the way in. If you put a finger over the top and gently rub it, you can just feel the tip. Now, I did say gently, and I'm not saying that you should force your finger over the top of this because you'll cut it. Be sensible. And then you tighten up the gold ring and you're set to go. Now, if you're cutting paper or vinyl, that's going to cut through it. You can adjust your force to get the correct cut. And the Juliet does have a lovely button on the front of the machine, and it's called a test button. You press that, it does a test cut for you wherever the blade is set, and then you can see whether it's right or not. So it's not difficult to reset this. There is no need to buy masses and masses of blade holders for every single material you have. You just alter the blade in the holder. It becomes automatic. Now, this cannot be cut by the Juliet. This is a wooden tongue depressor and it isn't suitable material, but it's going to be used for this demonstration to show you how much blade you want sticking out. So if I was going to cut something of this depth, say 2mm, what I would want to do is to have 2mm of blade out showing. And the way you do this is to grab your material, put the blade next to it and check that it actually goes to the other side of the material. So I would be using that much blade. And if I was cutting something that thick, I would use a 60 degree because it has a sharper, narrower style to it. It's more like that rather than like that. But that would be the depth that I would need. So I would then tighten this up and off I would go. But as I said, for most things you need very, very little blade sticking out. The less blade sticking out, the better. And that would be enough to cut paper and vinyl quite easily. So for the most part you don't need to alter it greatly. As your blade wears, you will need to wind it down a bit further, but that happens over time. You'll get used to it, it's no great problem. And that is the main difference. So you can buy multiple holders if you wish, but you don't have to. At the moment, the Juliet does not have a scoring tool. There is a pen holder, but this one is for the sublimation pens. So you might possibly find another pen that fits into it, but as a pen holder, it's no great shakes. Me, I have a 3D printer, I can print my own pen holders, so I don't have to worry. But they are coming out with other things in the near future, hopefully. You can import an SVG and cut it. So if you can find an SVG, you can find files to use. And the Leonardo Design Library has a load of files already in it. At the moment, Leonardo software saves in LDS format, which is Leonardo Design Studio. So you cannot save to an SVG from Leonardo. Whether that will change in the future, I do not know. Now let me show you the machine itself. This is the Siser Juliet. And if I open up the lid, you get to see how she looks when she's open. So this is your screen. If I push a button here, it's going to start up and go through its opening sequence. So hopefully you can see that. And then the lights come on and she starts to shine. Now, the controls are very easy to understand. You can go through all the menu buttons, and this is your general settings. So you have general settings, you have the LED settings, so you can put the LEDs up or down. You have an alert for when things are finished if you want. You have a sleep mode. If I press that, it goes to sleep after 20 minutes. You can adjust the timing on that. Go back. You have your units, obviously mine set to metric because I'm in the EU, and you have your language options. So yeah, pretty self-explanatory, nothing complicated there. And this is very much like a lot of sort of remote controls are, backwards and forwards and left and right play. This button here is the test cut. That will cut wherever your blade is set at the time. So for example, let me get a mat here and going to put that in there, press back like so, take it to the front, right about there, oops, a bit too far, there we go. Now a tip for this, if you are really particular about where you want the start point to be, remove your blade and you can look down through there and you can see exactly where it's going to start. Put your blade holder in, you pop it in like that and just screw this up tight, and that obviously stops the blade holder from popping out, gives it a good grip. I have this on a very low speed so that you can actually see it working a bit better. Otherwise it's so fast, it's like blink and it's done. Okay, then I want to pull it out and you can see that I have my test cut perfectly cut. So you have a little t-shirt with a hole cut out of it, and that cuts out within a square. So you get into a habit of doing those before you use the new material, and every now and again, if you're using the same material, you'll probably want to do a test cut just because your blade is going to wear over time. Nothing very difficult about that. So the speed goes considerably faster than that. If I put it up to 13, which is the top speed, I will do another test cut for you. Oops, wrong button. Okay, just make sure that's pressed down. There we go. And there we have the exact same cut. I can pick up the little dot. Everything is cut exactly as it was cut at low speed. It didn't do a good job just because I had it on low speed. This is on top speed, and that's just fine. So the force goes up to a top force of 160, and as yet I don't think I'm likely to be using that, but I tend to keep my machine down on a very low force just in case I cut something thinner than I normally do and I don't want to cut into my mat too much. So when I leave it, I tend to switch it down just in case I forget to check it before I do the next cut. But that's just me. So then you just press the button and out comes that, and you're done and dusted. So there's nothing complicated about a more manual machine at all. You will get experienced in what force you need to cut through something, but you just start off low and you go to a higher force doing your test cuts until you work out what that setting is. Now if you have any sense, you have a little notepad and you jot down the figures for whatever you're cutting. Now the rollers are all raised or lowered together, and there are 3 rollers. To raise the rollers, you press down on that lever and they all raise. So for example, if I want to, I can just slide that mat around under there now. Okay, they're raised. Now what you will find, I'm going to put that back, is that you have grit wheels here and here and here. But this wheel is going to contact whatever is underneath it unless you do something else. Now I am testing out a little gizmo that was made 3D printed. I'm testing that out because I don't want anything travelling over my material on a 12-inch mat. If you're just using normal vinyls, it probably isn't an issue. If you are using paper, cardstock, 12-inch, you are not going to want a wheel travelling over it because there's too much pressure applied. It's going to stick things onto your mat far more than you want it done, and also if you get dirt, glue, etc. on the wheel, that's going to transfer to your paper or card. Again, not a great idea. So at the moment, the fix for this is for me to have a little gizmo on the bottom or on the back of this particular roller, which stops it from going down. Now, another solution which has been mooted on the internet is to remove the spring. I didn't want to do that because I could see it could probably get lost when it's removed. B, it could ping off and never be found again. And C, if you're going to keep taking the spring on and off, it's going to get damaged. So I really didn't want to do that. But the design of this machine was obviously with the intent of vinyl to start with. And yeah, it will cut a lot of different materials, but you need to keep that wheel out of the way if you're using a 12-inch wide paper pad. So you can get a reasonable width, but it's not quite going to be your 12 inches. I put my mat in. This is as far apart as they will go, and this is going to travel over there. Now most of the time I'm using A4 and it really doesn't affect me greatly, but if I was using a 12-inch paper, that is going to roll over there unless you can do something about this. Now, Siser have been made aware of the problem and they are looking at permanent solutions for it. So, yeah, watch this space. If that really, really bugs you, then yeah, you just need to ask what you can do about that. Now, as far as I'm concerned, I'm happy with the Juliet. It cuts things as it's supposed to cut them. It's fast, it's relatively quiet. When you send a design to this machine, it starts cutting virtually instantly. And it's very, 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 very fast. Certainly compared with the Silhouette Cameo that I had and the Brother Scan and Cut that I had, this is so much faster. It's certainly as fast as I need it to be. On the other hand, it still looks like a domestic machine. It's very pretty, it's very swish, the design is very smooth, and I love it. They have the Leonardo software, and I'll do a separate video on that. But from a designer's point of view, it is not fully functioning. I don't have things at the moment such as object on path. I don't have a whole load of effects. Well, I don't have effects. It will do a absolutely brilliant print and cut with supreme accuracy. There is no problem with that. But for actual designing, I still have to import an SVG. But that's where it falls down at the moment. They are working really, really hard on making Leonardo the software that it should be. I have been working with them, giving them suggestions as to what it needs to have. So if that is a problem for you and you don't want to import SVGs, then what I would suggest you do is you download the software, because at the moment it is free. You can download it, you can play with it, and you can see what it can and cannot do for yourself. It may well do everything that you need it to do, it might not. If it doesn't, then you need to consider that before you buy a machine. You might want to wait a little while until the software catches up. So that's it for today, my take on the Siser Juliet. Said, I love her, I'm going to have fun with her, and as usual I will be doing my designing and I'll be giving out free files. I will give them in SVG format so you can use them. Some of them I will give to you in LDS format so you can use them, but I'll be doing my usual designing and tutorials, and if you want to see those, then I suggest you sign up for my YouTube channel and indeed my Facebook page of the same name. Take care now.